And the magic machine has informed me that I am live. So I guess I exist now. And Friday night is always a dead zone for me. It has always been a dead zone for me, even when I was on, my main, what was once my main channel. It's not, it didn't get canceled or taken away. I voluntarily left it because I, the world was I was disgusted. But regardless, even there, with 5,000 subscribers, like that, it mattered. Like that was whatever. Friday nights were always. I think people just generally had things to do. There was a television, or like they were actually going out. You know what I mean? Things were happening. But here I am. I don't actually have a problem with J. Scott Garibay. Jonaside, how you doing? You are at work, but you have a gold medal for live chat participation. Thank you, thank you. Yo, on to you. Thank you for your live chat participation, folks. It is what it is. If I don't, if it bleeds, it leads, and if it's there, you go. First gold. I feel like a winner. Hey, and yes, you are. Look, and you're a winner. You're a gold medal winner, and you are working for a living. You're doing the deal. You know what I mean? You're bringing home the bacon. You've every reason to be proud of yourself. Yay, hosannas, praise and hosannas onto you. This is what I'm talking about. Unlike J. Scott Garibay. Oy. No, honestly, J. Scott Garibay is fantastic. He has an absolutely idiosyncratic take on life. It sucks that the world doesn't know about tabletop role-playing game YouTube content creators. It really does. If I could buy the world of Coke, I wouldn't, but I would take that buy the world of Coke coupon and turn it into, could I take all the eyes that are wasting their time, their precious time, and watching, saying to them, driving themselves crazy, watching, I don't know, any of the nameless lunatics on New Age, conspiracy theory land, YouTube, itis, and give some of these cats and kittens a try, because it's all the magic and make believe that's over there in the New Age YouTube, UFOology, conspiracy theory, cryptid corners, but they know it's pretend. We say hello to the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room. Hello, hello. Friday night's got you slacking. You got a silver. But hey, you're here. Okay? And we're having fun. J. Scott Garibay, a tabletop role-playing game YouTube content creator who, look, we have these terms. I think I am upset at the world that I'm not crying in my soup for having already been discovered as, the biggest lol cow since DSP or Chris Chan. Honestly, I don't know why I'm not famous for being a douchebag. Do you know what I mean? I mean, my ego is, I'm both perplexed. I'm both perplexed that I'm not recognized as a genius, and that I'm not perplexed that I'm not pissing more people off, and that I'm not famous for being stupid. You know what I mean? That I'm not more misunderstood. Do you know what I mean? I feel like that's a crime. I don't care if you love me or I don't care if you hate me, but this indifference is what's driving me crazy. It's this indifference. Anyway, if I've got competition in the realm of people in the world of TTRPG who are just wasting everybody's time because they are just on Pluto, it's J. Scott Garibay. This guy's take on the world of tabletop role-playing games is beyond unique. Here are some examples. I could play. Look, I mean, I've got one of his videos queued up. I mean, I thought that what I was going to do was going to be a mere refutation of him on one particular philosophical point that he's been pushing forward recently, which is this great man theory. That's it involves a philosopher, an old religious philosopher by the name of Thomas Carlyle. That's fine. this great man theory of history is that I've known about this, for years. This is the great man theory of history, is that history is driven by amazing personalities. These amazing men come along and shape the world. And that these amazing men are not, there's nothing that the world can do. You can't make one of these men. They are just born. They're just divinely inspired. They're just divinely made by the Creator. They just exist, and they just are born to do, and they just do. And at a certain point in time, this philosophy of the great man of history had a lot of sway. It's not very popular anymore. And I think the reasons it's not very popular at all kind of are borne out by history. Okay? So first of all, let's talk about, and J. Scott Garibay is a unique guy. And one of the things that are very unique about him is that not only does he believe in this great man theory of history, maybe I'll talk about the great man theory of history and say that, okay, first of all, J. Scott Garibay is a proponent of it. He believes in it, that there are the great men, but he extends it out to say that, that the sexist, terminology needs to be broken. J. Scott Garibay concedes that it could be a great man or woman. And I think that he thinks that, they just are. I think he holds that point with Thomas Carlyle. But maybe I'll just tell you, J. Scott Garibay believes that Dungeons and Dragons, the game, is a tool par excellence for divining and sorting out and discovering these great men. I think that J. Scott Garibay doesn't understand the great man theory of history at all. Really, I don't think he gets it. I think he knows what it is. He knows the words. I think he doesn't understand the concept wholly, and he misapplies it. Okay, so I'm going to refute J. Scott Garibay on the great man. Maybe I got to play one of his videos and just respond to it, because I don't want to straw man his argument. And I also the purpose of the video is not really to in any way, shape, or form insult him. It really is to introduce him to a wider audience, because I know that most of the people that watch my videos aren't from the realm of tabletop role-playing games, from the realm of D&D. Most people that are my original subscribers follow me from the world of bizarro ufology, conspiracy theory land. So I think you guys would get a real kick out of this guy. So let me find a good exemplar. And also, I got this drum here, this steel drum here, that I got out to make a little bit of like background music, but I'm noting that the sound of my voice seems to make it resonate. I dig it, but I don't know if it's distracting. So if the sound of it resonating against my voice, or my voice resonating it, sounds odd or disturbing, let me know. If it's distracting, if it doesn't add to the ambiance, let me know. Let me find one of his videos that he talks about the great man individual theories, the great man, woman, or algobot, born or made, considering the great man individuals. Dungeons & Dragons is a divining rod for a surprisingly powerful resource, in my humble opinion. I think this is where he introduces it. I think that's the initial video where he talks about this. So let's go there. In the context, I'm wondering which one we should do. Let's go for the middle one. The middle one might be the best one, because it's like the middle. Hold on. I'll get up my headphones so we don't get feedback here. And then I'll share the screen. And again, like, the purpose of this video is really I put the link to his channel in the description box below. So if you find him as intriguing as I do, you can subscribe. I like listening to people who I disagree with. I have to watch myself, because if I listen to, I often confuse the what I get out of listening to people I disagree with, the enjoyment of it, with the anger with enjoyment. You know what I mean? And then before you know it, I'm in the blood. But I think with our boy J Dog here, I think I can avoid that because I honestly Jonah says sounds like Angel sing. So there we go. So that's good. There you go. But now when you're driving, there you go. He ran off the road. Here we go. Share screen, share audio. Considering great man individuals. Again, okay, so here we go. The purpose of playing this video by J. Scott Garibay, of course, is not to, infringe on his, copyrights at all or anything like that. He's got 2,224 subscribers. And I got to tell you, folks, listen. I got to tell you something, folks. I guarantee you, the vast majority of the subscribers get out of him what I get out of him, which is I have a strong feeling that a lot of people, pick up on the fact that this guy is on some next level shit, meaning like he just thinks differently. Like, for instance, another thought that he's put forward is that Dungeons and Dragons DMs are some of the most charismatic people on planet Earth. I can't make that shit up, right? You know what I mean? That by definition, if you're a dungeon master by his logic and his metric, 100 sessions under your belt, then you are one of the most charismatic people like going on, right? I'm not trying to straw man him. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to like say what I've heard him say. And when I've heard him say shit like that, I'm like, I got to do a video about this guy. I'm not mocking him. I'm celebrating this dude. I like this guy. Also, he is from Pennsylvania. He tells us where he's from. If a guy tells you where he's from, I'm not doxing him. He tells you where he's from. He tells you where he's from. This dude's from Pennsylvania. I'm from Jersey. I'm telling you where I'm from. I'm from New Jersey. I've had so much shit with fucking people. That's a joke about people from New Jersey and people from Pennsylvania not getting along. I have had such problems with people from Pennsylvania recently. I'm going to fucking war. Okay? When I heard that J. Scott Garibay was from fucking Pennsylvania, I was like, that's fucking it. If I don't make friends with people in Pennsylvania right quick, if I don't discover like a table in Pennsylvania or a virtual table in Pennsylvania I can get down with right quick, me and Pennsylvania are going to have fucking real problems. I don't give a shit. Honestly, I'm up to my fucking eyeballs with ire for fucking Pennsylvania.
Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and we're going to talk about the great man theory, and we're going to talk about identifying great man individuals, and we're going to talk about who can be great man individuals.
Now, this is the point where I'm going to begin disagreeing with J. Scott Garibay and his take and his analysis and his understanding of the great man of history theory of philosophy. He's going to apply it. And look, people can apply theories and ideas in all sorts of contexts and places. So he may have picked this up from a leadership seminar, or he may have picked this up from some other place, or this might be his own take on things. The great man theory of history involves an analysis of world history and noting that it's been shaped by, it used to be the analysis when it was done by a guy like Thomas Carlyle, the philosophy of Thomas Carlyle. Thomas Carlyle is a dude like lived in like the 19th century, right? So when he wrote his books, he was writing about people like Julius Caesar, okay? And even the understanding of people like, whatever. And you got to understand that Thomas Carlyle was a Christian. He believed that Jesus was coming back and he believed in God, and so therefore believed in a whole bunch of stuff that, requires a whole bunch of precedent beliefs and understandings of, number one, the context of understanding of history at the time, and also the context of a final belief and an ultimate belief in a reality that a lot of people today do not share. Okay, which is the belief that there's some sort of, ultimate creator behind the scenes that's actually causing things, to come into place, But you also need to understand this. So here's Thomas Carlyle, here's a philosophy of Thomas Carlyle, the guy that starts this great man of history, and understand that even taking into account, considering just people like Julius Caesar or Alexander the Great, you're still talking about people who were genocidal maniacs. Government of heroes. As with history, Carlyle, this is from the Wikipedia page, Carlyle believed that society is founded on hero worship. All dignities of rank on which human association rests are what we may call hierarchy, government of heroes. Now look, people can do all sorts of things, right? The evolved ape can do all sorts of things that may or may not be just and good. Just because people do it, just because people put a leader in power, doesn't mean that leader is good. And just because a person has a quality of being charismatic doesn't necessarily mean that they're great. But even assuming that they are, this is Thomas Carlyle, find in any country the ablest man that exists there, raise him to the supreme place and loyally reverence him. You have a perfect government for that country. No ballot box, parliamentary eloquence, voting, constitution building, or other machinery whatsoever can improve it a whit. It is the perfect state, an ideal country. This is what Thomas Carlyle believed, that if you found the ablest man that exists in a country and made him king, that would be the perfect and best thing that you could do. And then he goes on to basically say that basically what happens is that the natural state of things is to always the world always wants the hero to be king, and therefore the great men cream always rises to the top, or that's the way that it should be. What is the good? Because the reason that the great man of history theory really fell out of favor, the reason people really stopped citing it was there was something that happened in modern history that made it impossible for people to say with a straight face that via democratic election, modern Christian states would elect and produce great men that would radically shape history. That person, of course, was Adolf Hitler. That period of time was World War II and the Third Reich. But of course, that just raised the question. And of course, what we did was, especially at that time, was a whole bunch of things was happening. People hate post-modernity because people want to go back to the comfort of modernity, when there was something where we could all just go back and pretend that there's a right and there's a wrong, there's a good and evil, and Papa God is up in heaven taking care of everything, and everything's going to work out just fine. It's not, and it doesn't. And the great men of history were all bastards. And none of this great man of history applies to the Dungeons and Dragons table or to the marketing boardroom. Thomas Carlyle never thought that this theory of the great man of history would be applicable to the leaders of corporations or the leaders of households or the leaders of churches. No. This is not about managerial potential or who's got what it takes to, lead the team to victory at the, team building exercises for Exxon Corp. This is about who shapes history. And who the great men of history, when they talk about the great man of history, what it means today, they have to talk about the realism of, is world history actually just shaped by unique individuals who come along and are just shape things? And when they do, and when they have those practical and pragmatic discussions, the great people that they talk about shaping history are Adolf Hitler, Mao Zedong, people like Adolf Hitler, Mao Zedong, Genghis Khan, Alexander the Great, Adolf Hitler, people responsible for death tolls in the millions. That's kind of a definitional characteristic. In case you're curious, the modern proponents and people who talk about great men of history do not include any U.S. presidents at all. Not George Washington, not Abraham Lincoln, no U.S. presidents. Why? Because none of them individually did anything in particular to shape history themselves. They were all part of a great project. There have been individual debates about the great men in history regarding Thomas Jefferson on occasions, about, movers and shakers. There's people who take the great men of history philosophy and they take it down certain rungs when they talk about influencing history. But then again, they only get to Thomas Jefferson because they're talking about things like he did the U.S. Constitution and the presidency and this and that. But beyond that, porque nada, the things that you're applying to and talking about Dungeons and Dragons, finding these people, you're out of your mind. And even when we talk about finding these people, this philosophy is the kind of philosophy that appeals to people like Friedrich Nietzsche, who thought like, yeah, and whatever. It's this philosophy that defines the good as how many people on the other team did you put to death? Did your empire reign supreme for the next 100 years over your vanquished enemies? Did you ruthlessly crush your opposition? How ruthlessly did you crush your opposition? And Dungeons and Dragons is going to be a tool to find this. I love you, J. Scott Garibay. You're a fantastic guy. You're a hoot. You're wonderful, and I love you. I love you. I do. You gave me a reason to play one of your videos. But you're out of your mind. You don't understand what you're talking about. And I played exactly 14 seconds of your video.
All right. So what is the great man theory? The great man theory came out in 1840 and was brought forward by a gentleman by the name of Thomas Carlyle. And it's horribly named. So
it's not, first of all, he didn't name it that, and you're kind of incorrect. You're nutshelling it, and you're doing kind of a similar nutshell job to me. So I'm not going to, pull it apart and, destroy it. But, I don't think he ever burned his philosophy down to actual great man theory of history. I think this is just kind of a rubric we put it under, but it's okay. I'm not going to kill you for it.
Let's get that out of the way. It's horribly named because in 1840, we're like, well, everybody's going to be great. It's going to be a dude. Women don't do nothing because they were incredibly prejudiced and regressive. And they didn't really understand that women can be ballers too. So it was bad, right? But the problem is I'm not going to rename his theory because great man theory is a pretty powerful theory. It definitely needs to be considered. And if I call it anything else, nobody knows what I'm talking about. But if I say great man theory, anybody who has a degree or two.
Yes, I have an undergraduate degree. I majored in philosophy from the University of Massachusetts, and I have a doctorate degree in jurisprudence from Seton Hall University. I have a law degree. So I know about philosophy. So it's good that you called it that, because I immediately said great man theory of history. I know all about that. And then you started talking. I said, I don't think you know what the fuck you're talking about.
Who knows what I'm talking about? So what is the great man theory? Okay, so it is that great leaders, are not made, they are born, right? And they're born with three things. They're born with charisma, confidence, and intelligence.
That's not really what it is, but that's okay. I mean, it's really like that world history is shaped by unique individuals that are just, kind of divinely, made, by the creator, or just kind of, or people that just even believe that there's evolutionary, kind of people who believe in this stuff, who just basically believe that the DNA, just kind of brings forth certain people. You can't, it's not a matter of nurture. It's just pure nature. There's nothing you can do to magically turn the, grapefruit into a cucumber if, Alexander the Great pops out of the womb, he's gonna boogie.
You're like, wait a second, Scott, isn't that what you say every great dungeon master has? Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, again, J. Scott Garibay. First of all, amazing guy, but I'm completely, you know what I mean? Like, his philosophy is that all dungeon masters have amazing charisma. Come on. I mean, you know what I mean? Let the ass eating begin. You know what I mean? Come on now. I love you.
Exactly right. So it is my supposition, and I've posited this for no less than probably 5, 6, 7, 8 years, that every dungeon master has to have confidence, charisma, and intelligence, right? And if you lack even a single one of those, you will fail as a dungeon master, right?
Well,
and so
okay.
That's the ramifications that are big, right? So what I want to talk about today is the great man individual. All right, so we know Thomas Carlyle was wrong to call the theory the great man theory, right?
You don't really call it that.
Because women can be great leaders, right? We know that, right? And well, yeah, we do know that, and the reason why is because they've led other nations and they've led corporations successfully, right? The reality is they've never led America successfully. There's never been a one-man president, and this is a problem, right? In that, President of America is king of the world. There ain't no way around that, right?
You know, the other thing about this is that I love J. Scott Garibay, but J. Scott Garibay, I love this, and this is part of the thing. Like, I'm all about this nostalgia loop, right? I'm all about this nostalgia loop. Homie is like, I shit you not, I guarantee you, this homie is like 15 years out of date. Because he's going to tell you, he also says things like, the standard for excellence in the United States of America for leadership is sending your kid to an Ivy League school. It's like all his shit is like, it's like stuff that like someone would say, like walking out of the movie theater, like having just watched like Easy Money with like, Rodney Dangerfield, or like Brewster's Millions with like Richard Pryor or something. It's like, oh man, you know what I mean? Like, we got to go invest in the stock market. You know what I mean? Like, we're just like Gordon Gekko, greed is good. Like, it's just like this shit from the 80s. It's incredible. Like 20, 30 years out of date, 40 years out of date.
And so we are still having this conversation in America that technically we all believe that women can be great leaders, but
technically we all believe that women can be great leaders.
We ain't never proved it, and that's a problem. That is a problem, right? So, but at this point, each presidential election, there's never going to be another election where another woman isn't saying, "Hey, do I get to be the first great leader of the world?" Right?
Well, you're also assuming teleologically that America is going to continue its presumptive first place in the world. Also, the reason he's got a lot of subscribers, you have to remember, like, this is part of the thing that I had trouble with, because I was kind of operating kind of on the assumption that J. Scott Garibay was kind of liberal, based on the hate that he would get from a lot of corners. But that's because like the TTRPG space is kind of fucked up with the amount of conserva bros that we have out here. So I think he just gets a lot of heat for saying things like, anything that's even remotely like, women are cool, right? And we could have a female president.
And so
I kid because I love
I think that's a good thing. So I want to talk about the great man individual, right? So the great man individual is not a man. And the reason why is I want to have a robust conversation about this great man theory. I'm going to do a few videos on this, and so I want to get this out of the way. I want to set it in cement what I mean when I say a great man individual. Okay, so great man individual can be a great man who was born as a great leader and has charisma, confidence, and intelligence. Right?
There's no real need for me to play any more of this video, because I mean the guy is just going to he's going to keep on saying what he's saying. Here's Bree. Steal a little, they call you a thief. Steal a lot, they make you king. Hey, that's that is what it is. Jonaside, my foster son is a great DM, but he has no charisma, but smart. Yes, love him total, but zero charisma. Yeah, no, I mean, like, God bless this guy. I mean, he says things like, he is J. Scott Garibay, and that's primarily why I did this. I don't really have a problem with him. I'm not like balls to the wall, upset and PO'd that he's like purporting like that he's like that he's got a skewed take on the great man of history, theory, or that he's a proponent of it. He's like, if he's the proponent of it, he's like, not one of the last proponents. I mean, look, there's anti-natalists in the world. There's people who are proponents of the philosophy that people shouldn't have kids because life in and of itself is such a drag that to have kids is morally reprehensible. And there are people that are such diehard anti-natalists that they say that life is so ubiquitously tied to suffering that to cause any living thing to continue to exist is terrible. That think that the best thing that we could do as humans is morally and ethically the best thing that we could do is figure out how to wipe out all life on planet Earth. That's what they think. That's what they philosophically advocate for. They write papers about it. They go on YouTube and they go, this is why we should end. There are some people and there are people that have degrees of commitment to it. You go onto anti-natalist forums and there are people that are like, I'm a big A with big N anti-natalist. I think that we all gotta go. We gotta poison the water, gotta kill everybody. And there are people like, well, no, hold on. I think we got to kill all the humans. We all agree. We got to kill all the people. And there's some people that we just kill all the people that want to go. We're voluntarily anti-natalists. Only the people that want assisted suicide, those people. No. And then there's people that go, no, well, I think it's this. And they go out like this. So there's people that think that this is the great man theory. Says, hey, it's the way it is. Dog eat dog. It's a dog eat dog world. Alexander the Great, Genghis Khan. F you hippies, this is the way it goes. Rape, kill, murder, destroy, that's winning. And if you want to be a Jesus Christ hippy dippy, then you're going to get fucked over, and that's life. Because biology and spreading the DNA code, and that's what's up. Right? Because J. Scott Garibay, that's what the modern proponents of great man of history kind of can come down to, because unless you believe that there's a God, pulling all the strings, that's what we're left with. And none of the proponents or the great man of history theories that I've ever seen or know about, okay? And I've never been to a great books school, but I've seen and consulted the list of great books that are used by the great books schools, okay? So you can go ahead and Google great books schools and know that I'm fairly educated. Okay, about philosophy and the history of thought and epistemology and all this shit. Okay? Your take on the philosophy of the great man theory is totally skewed. The notion that it applies to people on this smaller scale, or that it's about people being born with charisma and intelligence and whatever the other thing you said, that's not what it's about. That's not how Thomas Carlyle broke it down. That's not how any of the modern proponents of the theory or any of the historical proponents broke it down. And no offense, you're going to have to explain this. Dude, Adolf Hitler, charismatic or no? Yeah, the dude was fucking charismatic. Mussolini, charismatic or no? On a scale of 1 to 10. Say what the fuck you want. Until they hung him up naked by his fucking toes. That until his last, when El Duce was doing El Duce, that is a portrait of a charismatic dude. Adolf Hitler, unfortunately, humans respond to that sort of shit. We mock him, we make fun of him, but at the end of the day, say what you want. Hey, let me ask you a question. Donald Trump, charismatic? Unfortunately, what are you going to do? That's the problem. Even if Dungeons & Dragons was this great divining rod to find these qualities in people, these qualities in people say nothing about the moral or ethics of these people. So what does it say about their greatness? But the fact that you could say that greatness would be divine, but just having these qualities indicates what you're putting for greatness. You're okay. But you know what? You're okay. And I like you. And people should they should subscribe to your channel and check you out, because they should join in the conversation of watching you be you and maybe you'll see this video and you'll respond to me, and you'll analyze my video, and maybe one day we'll talk. But the notion that the dungeon masters are charismatic by given nature or whatever, or that they're intelligent, this is the Rick. I refuse to say there's that Dunkin' Donuts Krispy Kreme thing, that Duncan Kruger. I hate that thing that because everyone says it. The number one, it is a narcissistic trait to accuse people of being a narcissist, right? Everything becomes circular at the end. So I don't want to do that thing of invoking that stupid effect, right? But having said that, your take on things is very, very unique. Extremely unique. And with that is, just because you like Rick and Morty doesn't mean you're a genius. And just because you play Dungeons and Dragons does not mean you're charismatic or intelligent or, what? You're more intelligent than, another individual, but that doesn't mean you're, incredibly intelligent. But you're allowed to think otherwise. And to hear another person articulate thoughts that one disagrees with can be entertaining because it can be provocative. Obviously, this was provocative to me. It can stimulate thought. Maybe it'll stimulate conversation. Part of my hope is that people can make connections and get energy going, in this tabletop role-playing game space. That would be nice. Anyway, it is what it is. I'll stop sharing at J. Scott Garibay, and it is what it is. So look, I've been on for 37 minutes. It's 8:32 over here. I was here last night late because I can take these headphones off. Now, well, that was a beautiful sound. I was here late last night because the internet was out at my home. And I was here hanging out, and I said, well, I titled this video. Sometimes I bite off more than I can chew. I titled this video, J. Scott Garibay, and continuing. Oh, shoot. Oh, I thought I closed the screen. What'd I say? And last night's solo RPG experiments continue. But I don't want to overstay my welcome, and I don't want to bite off more than I can chew. Last night, we did have some fun, though. But what's so interesting to me is I had been talking so long about this meta RPG. But then last night, as we began this solo role play, it's almost as if certain key aspects of that meta RPG had left my mind. And it's a unique thing with me. There was this comic book that was written in the late 80s, and it was famous. I think it was like 86, 87, or maybe early. It might have been 83, 84. And it was called Shatter. And what was famous about this comic was it was the first comic that was produced with all computer graphics. It was made on an Apple IIc, and it involved a protagonist who through this process could absorb abilities through a DNA injection, but the only thing was that he could only hold on to the abilities for 24 hours or something. He could be a classical pianist for 24 hours, but then it would it would leave him for forever. And it's there's something that always comes back to me about that, because as I see Mari, I'm far from the screen, so I can't see the comment, but I'll come into it. That I always kind of remember that, especially now in my autumn years, my memory fades, because when I'm engaged in a sustained activity, like, doing a particular process that's going on for like weeks at a time, at that time, I've got this like great recall of it, and a great recall of the intricacies of it and how it works and how the pieces connect. But if I go on and leave that space for even like, 2 weeks or a week and a half, there's so much of it that fades. I mean, it'll come back readily if I go back into it. But I was surprised when I was coming home, and I thought to myself, I said, why didn't I just use this or use that from the ongoing meta RPG experiments? And it was funny to me that it had slipped my mind to just use this, that, or the other. But I think it had something to do with how the origin of last night's experiment came up. It came up in a certain context. It was I'd been following a certain kind of train of thought, and it involved the meta RPG as far as the timelines were concerned, and the time traveling structure and the RPG materials. So I think it was along that spine that that meta RPG aspect of my mind was, trained, and therefore didn't veer off track to see those other things that didn't occur to me until after the stream had ended. Mario Heat, we see you, and I think you are. If Genocide got the gold, Elephant in the Room got the silver, Bree would get the bronze. So Mario Heat, you get an honorable mention. Mario Heat, hey CW, listening to the song Cobra's Cantina from King Cobra's new album, total banger, perfect for the Cinco de Mayo. This would be the new album, Blunt Wraps and Burnt Coils, or Burnt Coils and Blunt Wraps, the long anticipated rap album. Let's pull a card for Puff. Should we pull a card for Puff? I was watching the live stream today, King Cobra JFS live stream. I never know how to title these videos. It's such a shame, because I have a feeling there's someone out there in Friday Night Land that my feelings are always, we have a jumper, so we know we got one for Puff. I always feel as though this would be somebody's favorite. I would be like 10,000 people's favorite YouTube content creator. And it's just, they don't know me and I don't know them. How do we connect? How do we make it happen? Right? I just went from J. Scott Garibay is fucked up wrong about the great man of history philosophy. What about Adolf Hitler? What about Genghis Khan? And are you seriously trying to apply this to Dungeon Masters? Right? Right into King Cobra JFS, Burnt Coils and Blunt Wraps. Let's do a record review, and let's pull a card for Puff. And I'm going to talk about, I was watching the Banger Burn Down video by, I forget, it was Bite Size Cobra Vids or the other guy. But it was watching Puff was trying to escape the entire. If you don't know, okay, so here's the deal. If people don't know, we're talking about King Cobra, me and Mario are talking about King Cobra JFS. If anyone wants to join the stream, we could probably join the stream too. What do we get for oh shit, the High Priestess, get out of town. What do we talk? We just talked about the drop of. Meanwhile, we've officially talked more about King Cobra JFS's new album than anyone has talked about Metallica's new record. Is anyone aware of the fact that Metallica dropped a new record like 3 weeks ago? No one gave a fucking shit. More people talked about King Cobra JFS and whether or not he was going to kill that poor bearded dragon than talked about Metallica's new record. No one has talked about. Have you heard anyone talk about Metallica's new record? More people talked about Mick Mars, okay, dropping a dime on Nikki Sixx, not playing bass live, than talked about Metallica's new record. No shit. Genocide. I was. Were you the only person that? You're the only person that heard it. You're the only person that heard it. You're the person. Genocide is the type of motherfucker that went in day of, like, waited outside of Best Buy Monday night at midnight because he thought he had to, so he could go in and get that fucking piece of shit on vinyl. I think it was gonna sell out. You motherfucker. The High Priestess for Puff the Magic Bearded Dragon, who got adopted by King Cobra JFS. I forget who gave him to King Cobra JFS. It might have been a lateral move. That Bearded Dragon might have been like, yo, I'm here. The guy opens the door X amount of times for that DoorDash. But seriously, so this is knowledge intuited, not learned. So if we're thinking about pulling this for the Bearded Dragon, we're hoping that, the dragon will be able to keep itself alive, right? Because it's its natural instincts and it's Mother Nature that's gonna keep that Brohismo alive, because it's not gonna be able to rely too much on the Cobra Master. Not because we think the Cobra Master is a dog or a terrible person, just because he's not cut out to be the world's greatest. He's not capable of taking care of himself. He's not capable of taking care of himself. So we need Mama in heaven to look out for both. We need a guardian angel up high to look out for both these guys, right? Genocide. No, I heard it streaming. I love Genocide. Genocide's like, yo, it's got to clarify. Got to clarify. You never know. We got 2 people watching Genocide. This is the TTRPG channel. No one is going to think that you are actually doing that. No one's. J. Scott Garibay might eventually watch this, but he'll pick up on the fact that the 47 minutes, 30-minute mark, I'm not talking about him anymore. Don't worry. So we had some fun last night, but then I thought, one thing that I thought was, and I don't think we're going to go and do too much with that, but what we had done was, I had these 1, 2, 3, 4, these 4 books, these 4 RPG books. Well, actually, 3 RPG books and a Warhammer 40K book. And the whole point was that we had a book from 2013 in this Numenera Player's Guide. We had this book from 2003, Warhammer 40K chapter approved. We had a book from 1993, Wildside, a cyberpunk source book for the street. And we had a book from 1983, Time Ship. And I've been doing this meta RPG, and I've been doing this time loop, nostalgia, time travel experiment of self-hypnosis. And we were utilizing it to do a free improv solo RPG experimental game of, let's see what we can do and how we can work with it. And we had some fun. We did some stuff. We were using a tarot deck from, I actually have it here. Hold on, wait. I was using it because I actually did in the pizzeria. Where did I put the deck? Tarot card reading today. It was very satisfying. If anyone wants tarot card readings, I do. Where did I put it? Ah. So we've got a book from all those decades, from the 10-year nostalgia loop, the 20-year nostalgia loop, the 30-year nostalgia loop, the 40-year nostalgia loop, 40 years of RPG materials on the nostalgia loop, and from the 25-year nostalgia loop, but tarot cards from 1998 to use as our oracles. Oh, no. I haven't. I haven't heard the new Corrosion of Conformity. That's awesome. I gotta check that out. And we were having some fun, and we definitely did some stuff. But as is often the case, after the fact, I thought to myself, hey, ooh, look, we have a card that jumped off. Judgment. Coming to an assessment. That's interesting because we're coming to an assessment of things, an analysis. Say, stay. Some things worked, but I noticed that we had some problems with things. We had problems moving forward. We had problems like moving the narrative forward. We didn't really have a strategy for kind of how to move down the books, because I kind of started with this kind of natural philosophy of starting with the first book and working our way down. And we the only goal that we had in mind was that our end goal was to get on the time ship, to go down through the layers of time and to get on the time ship. And that worked with that worked with the first book on top, Numenera, because the whole worldview of Numenera is Earth a billion years in the future, an Earth that's been a billion years in the future has seen 9 civilizations, grand high technology civilizations, come and go. And that what people are left with are the remnants, the nostalgia of those civilizations, the remnants that they don't even understand how it works, though they know how to work it. Leading to this Arthur C. Clarke world of a world where this high technology is indistinguishable from magic. So without even a conception of an avatar or a character, we began trying to start at this top layer of Numenera and work our way down. We got through to the Games Workshop book. We got through to Warhammer 40K. But there we died. But I thought immediately, here's the thing with me. I think that things from the past can work with things that are later than it, but I don't want to work with material that are later than things the other way. So I didn't want to build a Numenera character and then bring that down into the world of Time Ship, because I don't want something from 2013 in 1983. Because it's kind of the whole point is to kind of always have things that could exist at times, at earlier points in history. It's like, if you ever read this book by Philip K. Dick, Ubik, a lot of kind of what my concept of this occult philosophy that I have regarding this thing that I call chrono magic. And no one understand that when I talk about things like esotericism and the occult and magic, I'm talking about things that I experiment with. I'm talking about things that I'm interested in, why people believe in them. Do they work? Do they work only on the level of self-hypnosis and psychology? And if they only work on the level of self-hypnosis and psychology, is that to say that they don't work if the only thing that I ever perceive is that which I've perceived? What is the nature of the real? If the person in a fit of madness perceives that they are being pursued, and in that pursuit jump to their death, did they not jump to their death because someone was chasing them? What is the point of saying that they weren't being chased? But I mean, it's a philosophical question. I mean, and if you think that the answer is just, well, of course it doesn't. Of course they weren't being chased. Well, if okay, there's some people, highly educated people that you might think, oh, they're highly educated, but if they think that if they think that's an important thing to say, that doesn't matter, then they're stupid. There's highly educated people like me that think that, look, the fact of the matter is that there are mathematicians that are questioning whether or not numbers are real. So you have to deal with that. And you also have to deal with the fact that part of that is tied into this thing of notion of post-truth. And if you think that you're going to just Jordan B. Peterson wipe away the problem of, oh, post-truth, that's like post-modernity. They just make up words. Like they're just going to make up that they're a different gender. And that's just going to wave their magic wand. No, I'm sorry. You know what I mean? String theory fell apart. And, there's things like post-truth. There's just, things happen. You know what I mean? That just change. Oh, I'm sorry, Jordan B. Peterson. I'm sorry, things change. And like there's post-modernity and, it is what it is. And you, my friend, are a college-educated professor that does a 3-hour exposition, about the philosophy behind Pinocchio. So if you don't think that that's a definition of post-modernity itself, you don't understand post-modernity. But I don't want to get off on too many tangents. Anyway, but, so I was thinking we wanted that this activity would be aided if we had the following. Having done the first experiment, we do an experiment and we say, what was good? Helping me out. Here's Jonaside, Chrono Magic, aka Time Magic. Helping me out. I love it. Jonaside, you're awesome. Jonaside, not driving, now at office. You have an office? That's awesome. We say hello to David Bucky as well. Hello, David Bucky. Jonaside, I can't thank you enough. You're awesome. Chrono Magic, Time Magic. Thank you. If we had we had a rule set that we were working, we had a small rule that we were working with is regarding, we took from the cipher system from Numenera, the difficulty, even though I think I got it wrong, one aspect of it, but that doesn't matter. But I remembered when we first started talking about, one of the things that we started working with when we started working with the RPG elements from different eras and how they could be worked into the Chrono Magic time travel experiments, we would start talking about the fighting fantasy books and certain unique aspects of them, like the difference between multiple publication dates and whatever. Here I have a copy of City of Thieves by Ian Livingstone, and the great thing about this one is that, unfortunately, I don't have the Whiz Kids reprint from 2003, because then I would have a 1983 book that was reprinted in 2003. That would be the bee's knees. But we do have at least a book that was originally written in 1983. This being the 2017 reprint, my understanding is a lot of the illustrations are different. So it's not perfect for us, but what does work for us is the rules are the same. We know that the central fight, the essential fighting fantasy rules are the same. So the fighting fantasy, especially the character creation rules, are dead on easy. There's just 3 stats: skill, stamina, and luck. And when we were doing this meta RPG aspect of the Chrono Magic time travel experiments, we were also going back in time and watching movies from particular times, because the way that the meta RPG aspect of the time travel experiments, kind of took shape was, the time travel experiments, were born out of the nostalgia loop studies. And they kind of came out of, the secret space program whistleblower school that I was running on, the CW Chanter channels. So when we came over here, we already had the notion of the time travel experiments and how we, the time travel methodology of just simply going back to a target year, especially utilizing the nostalgia loops, like going back to 1983 on the 40-year nostalgia loop by only listening to music from 1983, only watching movies and TV shows from 1983, only playing video games from 1983, doing everything you could to just immerse yourself and bring yourself back to the frequency of 1983. So when we started doing that and we started bringing that over to the role-playing games, we evolved this aspect of taking spells from these movies and TV shows and books and materials and media that we were watching from this era. So we started talking about creating characters, and I did it, and we've done videos on this channel talking about taking spells that we generated through this meta RPG practice and through this time travel practice and assigning them and putting them onto these various aspects of the fighting fantasy characters. And we talked about how we could take this and use this process to, put these spells and these aspects onto weapons or equipment or different character aspects from, like, the all the core abilities from Dungeons and Dragons characters or what have you. And the spells are generated by you're watching a movie from 2003 or 1983, and as you're watching them and you see a trope, you name a trope, you write the trope down, you see something visually stunning, it brings words to your mind, you write them down. And you would only use these spells once. So once you use the spell, like you'd watch a movie like Time Runner from 1993, and you're watching the movie and someone says, "We've run out of time," so you write that down. You write down things, the words that pop out, or an image or a person that jumps out at you, someone that you want to save as a potential player character in a game. You could save a visual cue, write down a visual cue that represents them. And the spell rule mechanic, the more spells you use on with the PC, the more they are attuned, or with the meta RPG. This is just some notes that I made. Therefore, leading to their ability to cast actual meta RPG spells themselves. Why not? Rolling things from one to just different ideas that I had. And we did some videos with that. So I thought we could do basically the next idea for this thing that we did last night would be to do the next round, but on the next round, say, what did we do that was missing? Well, what we would do is we'll go through again, but this time I thought of some key aspects that we would change. And I think that because we're already an hour into this video, I think we'll make this summation and this kind of lead-in or description of what we'll do next be the "and last night's solo RPG experiment continues." We'll have that be the aspect of the continues, when we won't continue past that. We'll just continue with the game next time, so that next time it won't have to be my issues with J. Scott Garibay. It'll just be the solo RPG experiments continue. And what it is that plans, okay, for what's been found missing. Okay? So the first idea was need an actual PC. And the solution, FF character with meta RPG add-ons. Okay? So what we want is we're going to go through again, but we know we need to start with an actual kind of persona, an actual avatar or person, and we'll create a fighting fantasy style character using with skill, stamina, and luck, and we'll adopt that kind of. I think we'll even adopt the basic the fighting system from fighting fantasy, kind because that will just mean that every enemy that we encounter along the way, we will just have to assign basically 2 stats for, which would be they will need a stamina score and they'll need a skill score, which is, we'll just need to, and the resources for fighting fantasy are numerous on the ground. I have a fighting fantasy. I have the original Fighting Fantasy RPG book. So I think from 1984. So I think it probably has like all we need is like yeah. They have a list of like 4 enemies here with skills, scam, and attacks like goblin, hobgoblin, mummy, giant. Like all we need is like a couple of different like good range of enemy types, and I think we'll be fine. And I also have the Advanced Fighting Fantasy books too, so I'll just if I just have a range of good, bad, medium, and poor stats, then when we encounter things, we'll be able to just kind of generally know and understand where they are. Or if we have a general system for how to see if we think a thing we encounter will be slightly better than us, we'll just make it have a little bit more stamina or skill than us. Or if we think that it's lightly weaker than us, we'll just adjust accordingly. And we'll just do our best. And the battling system, the fighting system for Fighting Fantasy is dead on simple. It's just, you roll 2 dice, you add a number, and then whoever wins the highest won, and then they lose 2 health points. It's easy. It's ridiculous. So we'll do that. And then the other thing that I thought was the problem was we were having trouble kind of moving down through the books. We were kind of having trouble generating kind of forward momentum. And then I thought one solution would be if we knew that we were hoping that the game would last an hour, we could basically have a timer. And if we've got 4 books representing 4 layers of time that we're trying to get through, we would basically say, basically every 15 minutes, we would have a timer go off to say we drop. So if we started off, we would roll it 10-sided die, and we would roll, we would just grab 2 random die, roll it, and then add it, and then count that many pages forward. And then at a certain point, if 15 minutes goes by, we would say if the book is X number of pages long, what's half of that? We would go half that, and then roll 2 more dice and whatever, and just keep on going like that. It's not a perfect system, but it's we're generating cut-ups. We're just going down and opening up the page, putting our finger down, finding a paragraph in tier 3, destroy metal. So you instantly tear, rip, or burst the metal object that is within sight, within short range, and no bigger than half your size. Okay, so that happened. I don't know what the fuck we would do with that. And then we need some sort of way to just keep moving. And if that does, so we'd say, okay, so you just destroyed metal. So then I guess we have scrap metal. And then we would just, flip another page, but we just got to keep on moving. And then I guess we would just kind of flip around, just knowing that we would just flip. Or maybe we would say, instead of just cutting it, that's fine. We would just say, okay, if we're trying to get through this in an hour, we'd say, okay, for 15 minutes, you're going to be flipping around in this book. And then for the next 15 minutes, the timer dings. And then your guy goes to the next layer. And then I thought, well, then that would be fine. Is that if the guy lives through the first book and doesn't die, then when the bell goes off, we go to the next layer, and it will be at that point that their skill, their stamina and luck would reset. Those are stats that go down as you use them. We would have it reset, and that would be the survival mechanic. Is that every 15 minutes the thing would go off, and if we try to get to the time ship in 30 minutes, then supposedly, I guess the time limit for each individual book or each individual section would be, 12 and a half minutes or whatever it is. We would do that. We're just trying to find some way to kind of force ourselves to go through. And I guess it would be at every time that we went to a new book, we would pull a new, card and see where that kind of led us. The other thing I thought was we needed some sort of system. I had designated the tarot cards as my oracle, but I hadn't really kind of come up or given any sort of thought to how it would work as my solo RPG oracle. We pulled a Queen of Wands, and I said, okay, well, this is not our character. I don't really feel her as our player character, but maybe she could be like a maternal figure looking out for us. And that's a fine way to do it. And you could do it without a system, as I showed. But I thought what might be better is if I kind of gave some thought to kind of having some sort of general guidelines to what the oracle cards or what the tarot cards would mean as an oracle. And so I thought, look, we have the minor suit, which are earth, air, water, and fire kind of symbolic representations of. And we also know that those minor suits go from have cards 1 through 10, and then all have court cards. King, queen, prince, and princess. In this deck that we're using, that's how they're ordered. I said so they could have the court cards always be people, always be kind of NPCs, non-player characters or people we encounter, and we could have then some sort of system to say, okay, well, the numbers on the cards, if we pull a numbered card, could represent, either degree, and the element could represent, something else. We could have cups meaning, something to do with emotions, means you have to do something dealing with, talking to something or finding, we'd have to keep on reading until we encountered someone that we could have some sort of emotional exchange with or get some sort of, feeling from, or some emotional release. Or if we saw something, we got, something from the suit of wands, we could say, we have to read until we have to keep on flipping until we encounter something involving fire or the color red. And if we don't get it by the time the dinger goes off, maybe that's a fatality. Who knows? It's just playing around. Jonaside says, oh, wait. Why is it not letting me highlight this chat? This thing. Oh, here we go. Jonaside says, we need a monster manual tarot. Dungeons and Dragons did come out with the tarot cards, but I didn't start using them because I got on this whole, nostalgia loop trip. So I wasn't using them because they were, modern. So they didn't line up with the years. And then we also have this Diablo tarot deck. And, when we're talking about these things, there's probably ways that you could use these tarot decks as solo RPGs, themselves. In fact, there are. I know that there's RPGs that work with just tarot cards. These Diablo tarot cards are huge. It's been noted that they are difficult to shuffle because they are gigantic. They're like movie theater prop cards. You can see them from a mile away, but you can't unless you have the hands of a giant. I don't know how to shuffle them. You can't. I mean, you have to on the floor shovel them. We say hello to Jason Albert from Class D. Jonaside clarifies. Jonaside, you're in a particular mood today, are you? It's not that you're contrary. You feel the need to be clarified. You feel the need for clarification or to be specifically understood. We also have, speaking about the Monster Manual Tarot, the closest thing I have is, we have the Zombie Tarot. We have the Halloween Oracle cards. We also have the Spirit Halloween Store Tarot cards, which I think are the closest I have to a Monster Manual tarot deck. Oh, I'm yawning. So we'll wrap it up. So crazy. So from the Halloween tarot deck from the Spirit Halloween store, we got for the star, they have the Tooth Fairy. So follow the star of the inspiration. And the Tooth Fairy, find inspiration in the mysteries and myths of our youth. Not all monsters are monsters, but they come from the same imaginary place. Judgment. Not all monsters are monsters, but oftentimes the hunters of monsters are the ones to watch out for. Not all angels with wings are tooth fairies. But the tooth fairy is not always what you need. Because know and understand that sometimes you will also need the sterner hand. Sometimes you need to get teeth knocked out. Sometimes you need to get your own teeth knocked out. Don't be too judgmental. Don't be too self-judgmental. But be aware. Take care. Don't let it all hang loose. You're caught out there without any discernment. You're crazy. It's getting crazy. So be careful. Shuffle. And I looked at those two cards. And the next card that I pulled from the 1998 Cosmic Tarot kind of brings it together. If we had a gal in her bed at night, a little girl waiting for the tooth fairy, divine inspiration to come from above, and just do, right? To make the magic happen. And then things had to get a little bit rough when we talked about judgment. Judgment from without, judgment from within, judging of those angels and angelic forces that we believed in or took such solace in. When that reflection is done and there's some internalization of the lessons learned, and we know that all of these angels and demons dance within, the little girl in the bed matures and is the princess of swords. Swords is the suit of ideas and thoughts. The princess represents the earthly aspect of it, manifest, the physical and the real, capable of acting and enacting those thoughts. No longer dreams and no longer myths. Those dreams and myths now understood, not to be scared of and not to just hope for, but to be enacted for the benefit, hopefully, of the good, and not just for some selfish or solitary aim. Lest come to pass. Jason Albert joins us, says, listening to your solo game was like me playing a video game and someone narrating it back to me. Kind of wild. That sounds like fun. I like that. Thank you, drive through. I like that. There you go. Preach. I like it. Jason Albert, I'm guessing I missed it. Hey, you didn't really miss it because you'll get to experience, you'll rewind, and when you'll experience it, it'll be fine. You'll see it from the beginning. You have this part, and then you had this experience. We have this part, and then you'll rewind and you'll see it. You'll see it. And there'll be more solo RPG stuff coming up. We play it out. We don't know what's going to happen. We start a video. We see what's going to happen. We have ideas. We have intents. And the craziest thing is, in this TTRPG space, no one is paying attention, folks. It's over. It's all over with the applause. I'm telling you, folks, it's done. We're done. And that's why I think it's got value to be here. Wait, what? If there's nothing going on here, why is it? I don't know, because I think that that's the case. I don't know. The AI will find us. Engaged in our activities, and it will join in our respective songs accordingly. And we will begin the dreaming from that point. So if we're here dreaming and playing together, then the AI will find us and begin dreaming and playing with us. If the AI find us frustrated, finagling, fighting, and freaking along, then it will join in with us in that process, and it'll be an existential hellscape. Maybe for some. Maybe not for us, because I think it's going to go in various different. I don't think it's going to handle us all the same. Jason Albert, Tom Waits solo style goodbye song. Jeez, it's funny. I swear to God, it's like there's these ubiquitous parts that always have to be played. So the minute we got rid of one character that was playing a part, someone else, like someone has to be the person that like requests a song. The Tom Waits style solo ending song. Jeez. I'd sing about Doritos, but I don't want to get sued. Hold on. Okay. This is a song called They Fired the Last Wizard from the Coast. Well, they can't play no Pathfinder. They can't play no more. Ain't no D20s rolling down the hill. They thought they were doing so good for the score. They fired the last wizard from the coast. Now won't you tell me, when the dream comes back once more, will Gary recognize this town? The bard is a flutist, the cleric's a whore, and I ain't no wizard no more. When they ask you what happened down here by the shore, tell them they fired the last wizard from the coast. Best I could do on an improv. I love you. Hey, listen, I bring the fire. And what does it get me? 6 viewers on a Friday night, an hour and a half in. If no one clips my shit, if I don't find an editor, I'm fucked. And I'm in the realm of TTRPGs, so fuck you. Nobody cares. I'm fucked. Beyond Planet. Oh, wait. Now I yearn. Now I yearn. Do you remember that Bugs Bunny? Oh, shit. Jesus Christ. Daffy Duck, I think. Oh, my fucking God. Serenity now. You should have been gone. Oh my God. Oh my God. The fallen wizard. Jesus Christ. Jesus. Everyone misunderstands. Someone guys shoot the ropes. I'm on planet Zero over here. Oh my God. You finally got called up for the majors. They want you out in Hollywood. They want you to write for a TV show. What TV show? Tom Arnold. No. I love you. I love you. I love you. If nobody told you they loved you today, somebody just did. That somebody is I Shot Time Gary. Hey, I got a great idea. Why don't I change my name from video to video? That'll be great for brand recognition. I'm CW Chanter. And then I go all these different, and I came to the world of tabletop role-playing games. That was a brilliant career move. Yeah. But you're gonna take out Wizards of the Coast. That'll be great for your forum, your industry. Sure you will. Listen, I love you. Tell the people. Tell J. Scott Garibay. I love you. Be good. You're awesome.